How do you get your first 100 paying customers? Now, I'll be honest, the first time I went through this journey, it was a complete mess. I didn't really know what I was doing. But having gone through it multiple times, and I'll explain what the two different times were, I'm gonna walk you through the three principles that I learned that if you actually employ, you'll be able to get to your first 100 paying customers a lot faster. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you accelerate your path to the next stage of growth with an unstoppable strategy. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. I drop an episode like this 3 times a week, all with actionable strategies to help you grow your SaaS business faster. If you are part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, if you're part of this community, welcome back. It's really great to see you over here. So I went through the first 100 customer journey twice at ToutApp, my last SaaS business. The first time was when we got to 100 customers on our self-service business. That's how we started off. As we started to grow, as we raised venture capital, we started to go up market. We sold in the mid-market and enterprise. And then we hit our first 100 customers under that side of the business, the sales-driven side of the business. And in both cases, I learned a ton. And so I'm gonna walk you through my 3 principles that you absolutely need to learn, need to know as you're navigating this journey to your first 100 customers. And hopefully this will help you navigate that path faster. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button and let's go into the first thing you need to know. Okay, so I put this into a little spreadsheet and printed it out because one of the things that you absolutely need to understand, and it's kind of obvious when I point it out, but we don't think about it this way in the beginning, is there's a lot of different ways to get to 100 paying customers. So for example, with 100 customers, and I printed out this little spreadsheet so it's easy to kind of illustrate the point, you can do 100 customers at $30 per month. That's what we did at ToutApp on our self-service business. Salespeople were paying us $30 a month to use our sales engagement product. And at $30 a month, you will get $3,000 per month with 100 customers, and you will have an ARR, yearly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue of $36,000. If you do 100 customers paying $100 a month, then you get to 120K ARR. If you do 1,000, then you get to 1.2 million ARR. So you can start to see 100 customers could mean a lot of money for your business if your pricing model is right. And it's really, really easy to forget that, your pricing models are really gonna dictate how quickly you're gonna grow. If you are trying to bring on 100 customers and they're paying, say, even $9 a month or $15 a month, you're gonna need a lot of customers to actually go through your sales and marketing funnels and actually convert to paying you money. On the other hand, if you actually kind of go down the list over here, let's just say you have 100 customers paying you $500,000 per month, which is, I don't know what you're selling, but if you figure that out, good for you. Then you are at an incredible ARR, right? So why do I say this? The main reason I would say this is the first principle I really learned is you really got to hone in on what is the urgent and important problem that you're solving and what is the business value that you're delivering. And based on that business value, you need to understand what your pricing is going to be. If you are pricing at $30 a month, your path to 100 customers is going to be wildly different than if you are, say, charging $10,000 a month. Now, mind you, if you just get 8 customers at $10,000 per month, very quickly you are already at $1 million ARR, and that means you can start to think about your Series A or even profitability. So what you charge is determined by the amount of business value you're actually delivering. And so the more you can charge, the more your average customer value is going to be, and the easier relatively it may be to actually get to your first $1 million ARR, which is really the goal of this, right? So the first principle here is just kind of do the math on what your pricing model is going to be. How do you actually drive up that price so that you actually need fewer customers to hit escape velocity, that $1 million, $2 million ARR. Now, you want to get to 100 customers and you're charging a very high ACV. it'll probably take you a much longer time because the more you charge, the longer the sales cycles are. The less you charge, the shorter the sales cycles are, or rather there is no sales cycle, it's more of a marketing process, but you just need more volume of people. So there's no perfect answer to this. You just got to find out what is the business value you're delivering and what your pricing is and how do you optimize for that, because that will determine everything else that you do. Now, if you are thinking about your pricing model, you're not quite happy with your pricing model, you're starting to realize, oh, okay, 100 paying customers or $1 million ARR or $3 million ARR, whatever the goal is right now for you, we need to figure out what this row is and how we should charge. You can check out this video I did on pricing strategy. You don't have to go right now, I'll link to it below, but you should check it out right after this, because if you get your pricing right and you actually optimize how much you're charging, everything's gonna become a lot easier for you. So once you've done that, really the second thing you really have to get sorted for getting your first 100 paying customers is awareness, right? You wanna actually figure out awareness, how that works. Now, there's a small caveat here. There's like almost a little dotted line over here. You need to make sure your product strategy is right. So every SaaS business essentially has three pillars. There's market, product, and go-to-market. The market has an urgent and important problem. The product solves that problem. The go-to-market actually gets people to understand it, see it, and buy, right? So you want to make sure if you're going to get to 100 customers, you probably need to make sure that your product is solid. You're solving this problem in a compelling way. Customers are able to activate, like all of that. So that's kind of like an assumption here to get to the 100 paying customers. And you may not be perfect for your first 5 customers, but you need to keep focused on that to make sure customers are successfully using your product. Otherwise, all this other stuff you're going to do to get more attention and get more people checking out your product, they won't stay, and it won't work. So product is important, but I didn't want to go into details on that on this video. I'll probably cover that in another video. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments. The second thing that you really need to figure out is, based on how much you're charging and who your customers are, how are you going to get awareness for these 100 paying customers? Now, generally speaking, if you're driving a sales-driven process, your conversion rate is going to be roughly 20% from an opportunity, which means that out of all the opportunities that get created, 20% of them will close to become customers. So the number of leads or users you're going to need is a much higher number. So you probably want to start to do the math on, all right, how many leads do we need to actually generate 100 customers if our close rate is 20%? If you're doing more of a self-service business, ToutApp, for example, converted users to paid at 8%. So if a new user signed up and started a trial in the self-service business, 8% of them would actually swipe their credit card at $30 a month. And so we actually kind of knew how many leads our users we would have to generate for that side of the funnel. So you'll want to start to understand, all right, how many leads do we need? How many users do we need to generate to get to our goal of 100 customers? And based on that, you'll want to figure out how to drive awareness with these people. Now, in this channel, I've done a bunch of different videos on how to get awareness, but for ToutApp, for example, in both the self-service business and the sales-driven business, we followed a very specific formula for driving awareness. We started with communities and social. We were selling to salespeople. So we said, okay, where are salespeople hanging out? They're hanging out on LinkedIn. They're hanging out in groups at that time. LinkedIn had groups. So there were physical meetups. There was AAISP, it was an association where they held meetups. So we hooked into those communities and on social to drive inbound demand into our funnel. The second thing we did is we found influencers. Now, influencers typically, you think of Instagram models. I'm not talking about that unless you're B2C, but I focus on B2B. In B2B, in every industry, there's actually tastemakers, there's experts, there's trainers. And what we found was there was a huge number of sales trainers. There were people talking about where sales is going, how to do sales effectively. And so we actually hit them up. We gave them our manifesto and said, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's why this is important. And we'd love for you to incorporate this into your training, talk about this, give our manifesto out for free, and also refer us. And we'll give you advisory shares for doing that. And that was a really great way to drive growth because we had people that were already hooked into our customers, training our customers to actually recommend us. And it created this big movement around sales engagement, sales acceleration, whatever. We went through different names in the early days. It's sales engagement now. The third thing we did was we knew our ideal customers were also hanging out in marketplaces. Every salesperson had a CRM. And so we'd pick the top 3 CRMs that we could find that had marketplaces, and we went to them. Again, either got listed on their marketplace or approached them and said, hey, here's our manifesto. Can you share it with your customers? We're totally complimentary. And that allowed us to actually get users as well. Once these three started to work, honestly, these three things really drove growth for our self-service business. Then we made this shift. We raised our Series A and we said, okay, we need to do more outbound. And the reason we wanted to do outbound is we revamped our ideal customer profile. We knew we wanted to go after larger customers. We didn't want to wait for salespeople to discover us. We want to go after large teams. So we made our list of dream 100 customers we want to have, and we actually spun up outbound. We did cold calling, cold emailing, and we started reaching out to these people. Again, we gave them our manifesto, we shipped them a copy of our books, and then called them up and emailed them and said, hey, let's talk about this. This is really important. You need to make this transformation for your sales teams. And that got growth going as well. And then finally, all the way at the end, once all of these things were humming, we had honed in on our message. We honed in on our manifesto. We honed in on our ideal customer profile. And that's when we turned on ads. But truly, we didn't spend a lot on ads. Most of our demand, for both businesses, getting to 100 customers, came through these two things. So that's the first two things you really want to hone in on to get to your first 100 customers. That's what we did in both businesses that we built, the self-service business and the mid-market enterprise business. You need to make sure you get your pricing right, because there's different ways of getting to 100 customers, and it's going to be different based on what your pricing is, right? So get your pricing right, figure out how much business value you're driving. And one thing I talk about in this channel all the time is we tend to undercharge for our products. We just do, because we built it ourselves. We're artists in a way. We undercharge for it. So you really want to figure out how you can charge more and drive more. I'll link to that video below around pricing strategy. You should definitely check that out after this video. And then second, figure out which ways you can actually drive awareness around what you guys are doing, starting to build that trust, starting to get your brand out there, starting to educate the market, and that way they enter and become leads or users, and then essentially go through your funnel. Now, before I go into the third piece, there's an important third lesson learned, third principle here. Let me just pause here for a second. If you're starting to see the value in this, on just approaching 100 users on a very principled way, can I just get a yes in the comments below? That way I know from you, and it just means a lot to our team when we hear from you, and share any thoughts, insights, or questions you have around this. Also, if you are building out your SaaS business, if you're looking to drive growth, you're trying to get your pricing strategy down, you're trying to get your go-to-market down, you're trying to figure out how to drive awareness, I have my 5-point SaaS growth guide. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video, and I'll link to it below as well. Now, let's go to principle number 3. So here's the thing. The third thing is you need to figure out, are you marketing driven or sales driven? So here's the thing. There's a very big difference between these two segments. So the first segment you have is this guy, and the second you have is this guy. Up to $1,000, you can probably get away without a sales team. If you're charging $1,000 per month, it's very likely you can get away without having a sales team. In fact, you shouldn't have a sales team if you're charging anything less than 10K a month, or maybe even 5K a month. The reason is, once you add up your customer acquisition cost, which is your salesperson, maybe an SDR, your ads, your marketing budget, the amount of money you close on each deal is not going to be profitable for you, but after you pay out commission and essentially pay your customer acquisition costs. So you'll lose a lot of money. So it's super important. If you are $1,000 or less, you have to figure out how to be more marketing driven. You have to figure out a way so you can actually have the product start a trial, and people can actually get through the product and can start getting use, and then they'll swipe their credit card. And maybe there'll be a customer success person that helps a whole bunch of these smaller users at scale. But if you start to put salespeople and humans over here, then your economics are going to be completely out of whack. So it's super important for you to understand, if you are $1,000 or less, you're more going to be product driven, marketing driven. If you are $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, whatever you're charging per month, if it's in thousands of dollars, then you're going to need sales. They're going to want to talk to a human before they swipe their credit card. They'll go through an entire process. There's going to be multiple stakeholders. And so you want to make sure you understand which segment you're in. And the truth is, this decision around your pricing, it seems a little benign, but it's going to really set the stage of what your go-to-market machine is going to look like. It's going to set the stage for how much funding you're going to have to do, because these two models have different funding requirements. It's going to set the stage on what your homepage says. So I did a whole video on sales driven versus marketing driven. Do you have a talk to sales button or a start trial button on your homepage? I did a whole video on this decision. It's an important decision. So you can check that out here. I'll also link to it below so you can check it after the video. So that's the third thing as you're driving to your 100 users. Like, first, we got super purposeful about the pricing. We knew how much value we were driving. We knew for salespeople, $1 a day, $30 a month is nothing compared to them getting commission on a deal. So it's like, hey, let's help them. They're happy to pay it. We knew that for entire sales teams, if their average deal size was 25K and our entire platform cost 50K, then we knew that they would buy it, because even if they got 2 extra deals, they break even, but they're going to get a lot more on that because they're going to increase the productivity and the success rate for every sales rep. So pricing kind of set the tone for the self-service business and the enterprise business. Then you want to figure out how to actually drive awareness. You need the right messaging. You need a manifesto. I talk about manifestos a lot in this channel. We talk more about that inside the growth guide that you can get for free. And you need to drive awareness. And once you drive awareness, people will see you, you'll drive momentum, they'll recognize your brand, they'll start to trust you. And then based on that, you'll enter them into your sales process. And these are the 3 principles that I really learned to distill. Now, whenever I look at a SaaS business, if someone's part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, or we're building out a go-to-market machine to help them grow faster, these are 3 things we really, really look at, because this sets the table. It sets a clear strategy on what type of SaaS business you're building. And then from there, it becomes a lot easier to do all the other things. So now you know what are the 3 principles you absolutely need to internalize, solve, and address as you're driving to your first 100 paying customers. And obviously there's very different ways to get to 100, depends on the strategy around your business. So hopefully you got value. If you did get value, be sure to smash that like button if you haven't already. Now, I do videos like this 3 times a week with actionable strategies, actionable insights from my own experience in building, scaling, exiting SaaS businesses. I do it 3 times a week. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon if you haven't already. And lastly, if you're building a SaaS business, you're looking to scale it, if you want to go faster, I invite you to download my 5-point startup growth strategy guide. It's completely free, and in it, I go into much more details on the exact strategies you need to adopt to drive your SaaS business faster, to accelerate the growth. You can go to getunstoppable.com/strategy, or you can just follow the link below. Either works. Also, I'll link below to the pricing strategy video, and I'll also link below to the sales-driven versus marketing-driven video. And that way you can check those out as well. Okay, so I think we covered everything. That's all I have for you guys today. I want to thank you again for watching. By the way, if you got value, please share this video as well with your co-founder, your team, a fellow SaaS founder. If you're part of a WhatsApp group or a Slack group with other SaaS founders, please share this video. It'll mean the world to me and my team. We put a lot of effort into these videos. And remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. But when you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode. Then you are going to be, I want to thank you for watching. And I want to thank you for, all right, no, that's rude.